Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker discussed religious freedom today at an event at the Heritage Foundation. Here's a look.
Thank you, Kay, for that kind introduction. I am probably old enough now where people should forget what I've done on the football field and remember what I did in the political football field of Washington, D.C. But I appreciate your years of service, Kay, and we were talking earlier about your son having worked at the Department of Justice, and you know how important the Department of Justice is to all of us that have served there and how special a place it is. I want to also thank Ed Meese, former Attorney General, for being here. He's become a friend and a mentor for me when I was Chief of Staff and now as Acting Attorney General, and I really appreciate him and what he stands for in the conservative legal movement and in a exemplar of public service. And I'm also, I cannot ever get enough time with him talking about Ronald Reagan and what it was like to serve with him and to be a friend of Ronald Reagan, you know, kind of the person that most made me who I am today is Ronald Reagan, and your service with him as Attorney General and also in the state of California is just really exceptional. I also want to thank Jennifer Marshall, John Malcolm, and especially the panelists today. Each one of you brings a unique perspective to today's discussion, but we are all united in our shared values of tolerance and mutual respect. I also want a special thanks to Emily Cow, Director of the Richard and Helen DeVos Center for Religion and Civil Society, for organizing this event and for her many years as an attorney dedicated to the protection of religious liberty. I also want to take before I start my official remarks, I just want to take a personal moment to just say how exceptionally well I thought Bill Barr did yesterday in his Senate confirmation hearing. It really, I've always believed it, that he is the right person to take over the Department of Justice and lead us into the next chapter in the Department of Justice's history. He comes from the perfect place where he is raising his hand, willing to serve, but doesn't need the job, and that's always a good place to be. And so I will be happy to hand him the keys to a well-oiled machine at the Department of Justice and allow him to move forward with his agenda and especially the President's agenda. I want to start my official remarks by wishing everyone a happy Religious Freedom Day. 233 years ago, the Virginia Senate passed the Statute for Religious Freedom, which remains one of the most eloquent defenses of religious freedom ever written. It states that, quote, "Truth is great and will prevail if left to herself. Truth has nothing to fear unless disarmed of her natural weapons, free argument and debate." The statute protected Virginians from being compelled to attend or support any religious service or ministry or from being punished because of their beliefs. The statute did not claim that these were privileges or gifts to the people. It says, quote, "We declare that these rights hereby asserted are of the natural rights of mankind." The author of the bill, Thomas Jefferson, considered it one of his greatest achievements. In fact, on his tombstone, it does not say that he served as President of the United States. It says three things: that he authored the Declaration of Independence, that he founded the University of Virginia, and that he authored the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom. When the bill passed, Jefferson was in France as a diplomat. For those of you who've seen Hamilton, you're very familiar with the "What Did I Miss?" that opens the second act. The legislator who championed the bill was a 34-year-old delegate named James Madison. Within just a few years, Madison became the father of the Constitution and authored the First Amendment. Jefferson, Madison, and the rest of the founders took great care to protect the rights of religious people in this country. And we look back now, we can see why. Because religious freedom has made this country stronger, It is undeniable. Every day in America, religious charities feed the hungry, care for the sick and elderly, and give our children a good education. And I will point out as well, they are serving the crisis that we currently face on the border. Religious groups are there on the front lines dealing with that situation. People of faith can be found in every walk of life and in every corner of this land, including my home state of Iowa. Good citizens of every creed have made contributions that have enriched this nation. That benefits all of us, whether we share their religious belief or not. Religious freedom makes our country stronger, and that is why threats to religious freedom are also threats to our national strength as a people. For more than 2 centuries, the American people have recognized that. In November, we celebrated a much more recent statute than the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom. We marked the 25th anniversary of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, or what we all call RFRA. RFRA codified in statute the strict scrutiny test that the Supreme Court had famously used in Sherbert and in Yoder. Under RFRA, the government cannot burden someone's religious exercise unless it is seeking to further a compelling interest, and doing so by the least restrictive means it can. Under RFRA, religious freedom is not absolute, but it is protected by one of the highest standards under constitutional law. Government is still able to fulfill its purposes, just without infringing on people's rights. It is a remarkable thing for any government to impose such a restraint on itself, and it is unique to the American system, and we can look at many other countries that don't protect the free exercise of religion and the other protections we have in RFRA, and the examples are many. It would have been much easier for a government to disregard the costs on individual liberty and conscience. And in all too many countries, as I mentioned, that's exactly what governments are currently doing. But the enactment of RFRA was a bold affirmation that religious freedom and the freedom of conscience are precious and deserving of protection, even when it makes things a little harder for the government. This affirmation is even more striking because it is the result of a consensus. As Kay mentioned in the opening remarks, RFRA's enactment was completely bipartisan just 25 years ago. RFRA was offered by then Congressman Chuck Schumer. It passed the House unanimously and was approved in the Senate 97-3. When President Clinton signed this law, he said, it is interesting to note what a broad coalition of Americans came together to protect perhaps the most precious of all American liberties, religious freedom. Vice President Al Gore remarked, after he invented the internet, that when you have National Association of Evangelicals and the ACLU, the Traditional Values Coalition, and the People for the American Way, all on the same side, we're doing something right. What a difference 25 years makes. Today, many of RFRA's original supporters, including the ACLU, have changed their minds. In recent years, when some states have attempted to pass their own versions of RFRA, they have been met with bitterness and hostility. Meanwhile, others have disregarded both the spirit and the letter of RFRA. They have tried to use the power of the state to make people choose between following their core beliefs and being good citizens, even when it is not remotely necessary. For example, we've seen nuns ordered to pay for contraceptives. We've seen a United States senator refer to an evangelical Christian nominated by President Trump as, quote, not someone this country is supposed to be about, close quote. We've witnessed the ordeal of Jack Phillips in Colorado. That ordeal, unfortunately, is still going on today. We've seen groups that defend religious freedom, including one that is undefeated in the Supreme Court of the United States over the last 7 years, labeled as hate groups. Sadly, there are many, many more examples that I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with, and maybe even is a part of a fight for religious freedom. But I'm proud to say this administration is doing something about it. We have a president who is standing up for the First Amendment. Soon after he took office, President Trump ordered the Department of Justice to issue legal guidance to the executive branch on legal protections for religious liberty. In October of 2017, just about the same time I joined the Department of Justice as Chief of Staff, we issued that guidance, which explains the fundamental religious liberty principles in the Constitution and in federal statutes like RFRA. We've been putting that guidance into action by defending the rights of the American people in both criminal and civil cases. Under President Trump, we have obtained 14 indictments and 10 convictions in cases involving attacks or threats against houses of worship and against individuals because of their religion. Under this administration, we have indicted 50 hate crime defendants, and in just the last fiscal year, we have obtained 30 hate crime convictions. With regard to civil cases, we have gone to court all across America to protect American citizens of a wide variety of faiths and beliefs. We defended parents in Montana who claimed that the state barred their children from a private school scholarship program just because they attend a religious school. Under President Trump, the department has filed 5 amicus briefs in cases alleging discrimination in zoning laws. We have done so on behalf of a Hindu temple, a Catholic church, and we filed a lawsuit on behalf of an Orthodox Jewish congregation. We have also settled 4 cases involving mosques. We got involved in First Amendment lawsuit filed by the Alliance Defending Freedom against Georgia Gwinnett College, a taxpayer-funded school that allegedly punished a student for sharing his faith outside of the designated free speech zone. All too familiar on our nation's campuses. And most recently, the department filed an amicus brief defending a memorial honoring soldiers killed in World War I. The memorial is a large cross built using private funds that stood for nearly 90 years without any complaint. But now the plaintiffs say that it endorses one religion over another. They want it to be destroyed, but we believe that it should stand and continue to honor the memory of the fallen so long ago on a different continent in the greatest war, as it was called. In July, we announced our Religious Liberty Task Force, which is responsible for making sure that we respect the conscience rights of the 115,000 Department of Justice employees. It is also responsible for reviewing if there are instances in which the federal government is discriminating against religious institutions simply because they are religious, which is illegal under the Supreme Court's Trinity Lutheran decision, as many of you are familiar with that case. That review will help us stay aggressive in defending the right of free exercise in court. We are proud of all of these efforts in the courtroom, but not everything needs to be decided by a judge, by someone that oftentimes, well, I say this to my friends, I'm not going to say this about all federal judges, but once they put on the black robe, sometimes I've seen, in my personal experience, reason and common sense shoot out their ears. But that's only my own personal experience. But these cases don't always have to be decided by a judge. In the long run, perhaps it is most important to uphold RFRA in spirit, not just in the letter of law and not just in these court cases. RFRA promotes authentic tolerance because RFRA makes a solemn promise to the people of this nation that we can find a place for them, regardless of who they are and regardless of their personally held beliefs. RFRA affirms that good citizenship is open to every American, whether they're religious or not. And above all, it underscores the fact that government's primary task is to protect the rights of all of its citizens. That is why I am hopeful that we can recover the consensus in support of religious freedom that came together 25 years ago. If we don't do that, then we can create a culture, if we can do that, and if we do that, we can create a culture that promotes true tolerance and respect for all citizens. And so, as we continue to carry out RFRA, I am grateful that we still have a broad coalition of supporters like those of you here today in this room. And I just want to say in conclusion that I hope in 25 years, when we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of RFRA, we can all come together in a truly supportive, collaborative fashion and remember what the Virginia legislature and the U.S. Congress knew, that everyone of faith and those without faith need to all live together in harmony and all pull in the same directions so that our country, the United States of America, can continue to be the shining city on the hill that President Reagan so artfully painted the picture for all of us when he was president. And I just want to say, may God continue to bless the United States of America. May God be with you as you go on to your day-to-day struggles and challenges and celebrations. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all so much.
Hi everyone, my name's Mike. I'm the creator of Mox News. And for the last 15 years, I have been telling you that as long as I have the support of the community that I serve, Mox News will post videos forever. And that's the truth. As long as I have your support, no one can ever make me stop. Unfortunately, currently, Mox News viewers damn it. Hi everyone, my name's Mike. I'm the creator of Mox News. And for the last 15 years, I have been telling you that as long as I have the support of the community that I serve, Mox News will post videos forever. And that's the truth. As long as I have your support, no one could ever make me stop. Unfortunately, currently, less than 1/2 of 1/10 of 1% of Mox News viewers ever donate, tip, or contribute anything back. Again, let me make that really clear. Much less than 1/2 of 1/10 of 1% ever give anything back. And to those of you who have donated to Mox News, I want to thank you so much, because it's because of your generosity that we have been able to bring attention to important videos that millions and millions of eyes would have never seen. And I think that that's an amazing thing that we've been able to make happen together. And I can't thank you enough for helping me make that happen. So it's not too late. If you'd like to see Mox News covering the 2020 presidential election, if you can't imagine the 2020 presidential election without Mox News, please, there's still time. You can make a difference. It's easy to make a contribution, donation, or tip. You can go to moxnews.com, or in the text body of this video, there are clickable links to the Patreon page or to the PayPal page. And again, it should take less than 2 minutes to make a donation, and your donation can make a big difference. So I thank you all. Stay cool. One of these days this war is going to end, and it would be awesome if Mox News could be there to celebrate that day with you.